Good evening, friends. This is the fourth episode of the educative series released to explain the core concepts in the financial market. In this episode, we will talk about demat of shares. Demat or dematerialization is the process of conversion of physical shares into electronic form. When we find share certificates at home, we are at times clueless as to what is to be done with it. Some of us thus cast it aside and get into our day to day busy life, forgetting these shares. This could be holding lakhs or even crores worth in terms of value, or it could be absolutely worthless. We, of course, need to find it out. A little bit of digging around will provide you with a definitive direction on the way forward. The most important question or doubts one would have is DMAT mandatory or compulsory? Why should I DMAT? Who can help me with this DMAT? When should I DMAT? Where do I go for DMAT? How should I go about doing the DMAT? Of course, before you take this decision of going ahead, a few steps as detailed below would need to be undertaken to ensure hassle free DMAT. First thing you need to find out is the company still functional? Is it listed in BSE, that is Bombay Stock Exchange, or NSE, that is National Stock Exchange? If not, then how to proceed? Are the shares available for demat in CDSL or NSDL, the only two depositories in the country? What is the shareholder name that appears in the physical certificates? Is it same as what you presently use or is it different? What is the address recorded with the company or its RTA? And what is the present address of yours? Will the signature or signatures made at the time of obtaining these physical shares be the same today too? Are the shares transferred to IEPF, that is Investor Education Fund? Who is the RTA? Is DP required to go ahead with this process of DMAT? The details on the process to be followed to complete each step would be covered in detail as we go along. Before we go into the nuances of the process, handling of the queries, etc., we will take a look at the credentials of the speaker, disclaimer, and thereafter follow it up with the subject matter. I am Ramkumar, a veteran in the industry having more than 30 years of service. You can peruse the remaining details at leisure. Here's the disclaimer. You can read the same at leisure. Basically, says that this is an executive series and it has got nothing to do with your decision to buying or selling or taking any kind of market based decision based on this executive series. Should you find this video informative and educative, kindly pass it on to your family and friends. Please press on the like button and subscribe to this channel if you were to like it to enable you getting notifications as and when a new episode is uploaded. You will typically find episodes of this series being put up on the channel late evening every Sunday and Wednesday. The last screen will indicate the subject matter of the next video. The very first thing you should do is to check if the company is in existence. That is the company whose name appears on the physical certificates you have managed to find. This is a rather easy search as the keying in of the name of the company on the internet will give you the company details. That is the registered office, the place where it is operating from, whether it is still active, etc. etc. You will need to go to the next step in the process. You may visit BSE or NSE website, key in the name of the company. If you get the exact name, you will know that the company is listed, hence easily encacheable. Using the process mentioned later in the episode. Please ensure that the name of the company on the certificate is exactly the same as is available on the records of BSE or NSE. The price can then be seen to decide on the further course of action in terms of whether to demat or not to demat. Also, the face value has to be checked to ensure that the certificates are good enough to be dematerialized immediately. If the face value does not match but name matches, that is the name of the company matches, the certificate needs to be exchanged by approaching the company or its RTA. If, however, the name does not appear on the website or seems to be different, you need to check if the company has undergone changes in the name due to pure name change or demerger or any other such corporate action. If it does not appear in the records of BS or NSE, it is probably an unlisted company or that it has been delisted later after the issuance of physical shares. You can then run through the same process every few months as the company could get relisted or appear in the BSE or NSE system if it seeks listing again or was temporarily listed at that point in time when you made the check. The next step is to go to the website of CDSL or NSDL to see if the company is admitted with the depository. Admitted to the depository would mean the company has an ISIN, making the further process easier as Demat is always done basis the ISIN number. After finding out that the company is available in the depository, you should check the list of companies which have not completed the compliances in terms of providing the distinct number ranges, that is DNR, etc. If the DNRs are not updated in the depository, the process of demat is likely to take more time or may be rejected by the DP or the RTA. Thereafter, you need to check the name of the RTA, that is registered and transfer agents, which is typically available with the depository. The name of the RTA is at times mentioned on the physical certificates, but this could be different from the current RTA. Hence, you should trust the depository system and not the name appearing on the physical certificate. The next step is to identify the depository participant, that is a DP, which is serving you through the depository where your shares are admitted. The most important and critical job is to do the following very carefully and thoroughly. The first would be to check the name appearing on the certificate, that is the shareholder name. First, obverse, that is the front of the certificate, or the reverse, that is the back of the certificate for endorsements. This name should tally exactly with the name that appears on the PAN database or the PAN card available with you. If the name on the PAN card is different from the name appearing on the certificate, the name has to be modified to the same as that is in the PAN card by approaching the RT. The next step is to check if the order of names of the shareholders is what you desire the shares to be kept in after demat. The step is to ensure that the address recorded with the company is same as your current address. If the address is different, you will need to approach RTA to get the correct address recorded in the records. This could be done as part of the KYC update with the RTA. There might be other requirements which the RTA might want you to complete, like updating nomination, etc., which you should complete. The signatures made by you at the time of obtaining the physical shares should be the same as is your current signature. If the signature is different, further process would be very difficult. You may wish to get the new or latest signature updated with the RTA. The RTA might suggest you to get the new signature attested, etc., to get the new signature recorded. This needs to be done faithfully. Before you go in for demat, you need to ensure that the physical shares can be dematerialized. You will need to visit the website of the company. The company provides a screen for the shareholders to put their folio number and select the year on which the dividend was last paid but remains outstanding. If the dividend of more than 7 years is outstanding, outstanding as per the extant rules, the shares, although held physically by you, would have been transferred by the company to the account of IEPF, that is Investor Education and Protection Fund, which is associated with the Government of India. If you find this, a different process is to be followed to claim the shares from the company. You will need to approach the RTA for the further process. The RTA, whose name we have been taken often in this episode, is the hero in this entire process and has been referred to in several times. An RTA, that is registered and transfer agents, is registered with SEBI. An RTA is appointed by the company as an agent to handle matters related to registration, transfer, updating records of the shareholder, etc., on appropriate directions from the shareholder or the company or the regulator. You will need to, as the last step in the entire process, select a depository participant, that is a DP, to get the shares dematerialized. You may select a DP after checking if they are admitted with CDSL or NSDL. That is where the shares are available for demat, as you would have found in the first few slides that we saw. The DPs are broadly classified as traditional DPs, where you can physically go meet the front desk people and then get your work done, or the new age DPs or fintech DPs, where you have a lot of conveniences built in through the computer or mobile app. If you're computer savvy or do not have the time to visit the DP's office, this type of DP would be better suited for your immediate needs. To each his own, as they say. Thereafter, open a Demat account, keeping in mind that the name on the Demat account and the name on the certificate is exactly the same. The PAN should also reflect the same name. Further, the order of name should also be the same as it appears in the physical certificates. If you already have a Demat account, you can use the same and need not open a fresh account or a new account. Now, a bit of a trivia on this Demat. In the early 90s, India was grappling with a huge amount of bad delivery, that is, shares returned undelivered due to laws in transit, shares returned undelivered by the shares returned as bad delivery by the RTA due to signature mismatch, etc., and also a roaring bull market. The policymakers then decided that we need to come out of the physical delivery system. After a protracted discussion on whether India should go in for immobilization or dematerialization, it was decided that we will go in for demat or dematerialization. That is where we are today in terms of having to do demat of the shares. We trust you have understood the basics of demat and will be confident in sailing through the process to encash your physical shares. We wish you a happy dematting. The next episode would be on e voting or electronic voting. Please join me in the next episode. Should you have any doubts or queries or suggestions, kindly reach out to ramkbharosay@gmail.com. Thanks.